Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een, amma ba'd. So welcome to today's Adab Al Mufrad session. Today we'll cover, inshallah, a few more chapters. And the first chapter is the covering for a Muslim. The hadith mentions Abu al-Haytham that a group of people went to Uqba ibn Amir and said, we have some neighbors who drank and do this and do that. Okay, meaning they're committing some sins. They're drinking alcohol and they're doing other things that are prohibited in the religion of Islam. So Uqba replied, so he says, they asked Uqba, should we report them to the Imam, right? Should we report them to the leader? So then Uqba ibn Amir, radiallahu anhu, he says, no. He says, no. سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من رأى من مسلم عورة فسترها كان كمن أحيا. He says that whoever sees a Muslim's imperfections and then conceals it, it is like one who gives life to a female infant buried in the desert. Okay, so basically a person who covers someone's faults is highly rewarded. Okay, so it's as if that girl who was buried in the desert, it's as if bringing her to life or giving her new life. So you see someone, and this is something that occurs time and time again. It's not one time that you'll come across this. There may be several times where you'll come across a brother or a sister or someone doing something or may have done something, whether that's one of the minor sins or one of the major sins, and you're wondering, okay, what should I do? Well, one of the things you could do is to cover that person's faults. And there's certain situations where this person has been habitually doing this and it's becoming detrimental to that person's own physical well-being as well as spiritual, to their spiritual detriment. In that case, it is good. It's okay that you reach out to someone who can actually affect a change. So not that you go and start gossiping and talking to the community about such and such a person, but you go to the Imam, you go to parents, or you go to someone who has authority and who can actually affect that change in that individual, and who that person respects. That person is, would inshallah be able to make some type of change in their lives. So there's times where a person can just, cover up the person's faults. And there's other hadith like this. You've heard many hadith that are similar in concept to covering for the believer, right? And at times you'll see that situations arise where you then need to take some form of action, either because the sin being committed, it violates another person's rights. So in that case, something should be done. Or it could be that that person has become so habitual in doing that it's becoming, again, physically detrimental, or it could be also spiritually detrimental. But the general rule is to try to cover up for that person's faults as much as possible. And you have examples of this in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even when the companion who came and he said that I, perform the had on me, I've committed a sin. The Prophet said, just go, just go. There's no need for anything, and try to cover it up and just try to brush it off. And this happened time and time again. Likewise with, the female companion who came and said that, I'm pregnant and this is from zina. And so the Prophet said, just go and just try to, have her leave without any had. But then she kept on coming back over and over and over again until even after the child was born. He says, okay, go back until the child is then able to eat, which means it's over 2 years, where the child is then independent of the mother's milk. And then she still comes, and she comes with proof that there's a piece of bread, as the hadith mentions, in the child's hand, and the child is able to eat from that bread, which means that the child is now independent of the mother's milk. Hence, her point was that perform the had on me. Otherwise, the general rule, if you see someone doing something wrong, cover up their fault. And this is something which is rewarded in Islam, as the Messenger of Allah in another hadith says, "Man satara Musliman fi dunya." Whoever covers a fault of a believer in the dunya, satarahu Allahu fi dunya wal akhirah. Allah will cover that person's fault in dunya and akhirah. And a person who goes and is gleefully sharing the news of someone's faults and starts sharing that person's faults, that this person did this sin, this person did that sin, and is very happy and pleased by bringing shame upon that person, then this is something that is dangerous, especially if it's done with the wrong intention, because it could be at times that if the person does it with the wrong intention and the wrong purpose, instead of trying to bring a positive change, this person's trying to then damage that person's reputation. What happens is that the opposite can actually take place, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you do the exact same thing, a sin, or even worse, even if it may be even within your own household. So it's something that we should be all careful from. The next chapter is someone saying people are ruined. People saying, oh, people are terrible, people are the worst, these people are so bad, these people are such evil people. It's not a good statement to make. The Messenger of Allah says, Abu Hurairah says, the Messenger of Allah said, إِذَا سَمِعْتَ الرَّجُلَ يَقُولُ هَلَكَ النَّاسِ, that when you hear people saying that people are evil or they're ruined, then really he himself is the most ruinous. Meaning the person, instead of spreading something good or trying to affect some positive change, this person is just adding on to the negativity. Okay. The next chapter, when one is praised. So someone praises you. كان الرجل من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, when the Sahaba, if ever one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ was praised, he would say, "Oh Allah, do not take me to task for what they say." Meaning someone says, "MashaAllah, you're so pious, MashaAllah, you're such a great Muslim or Muslimah, you're such a great believer, you're such a great person." So the dua, "Allahumma la tu'akhidhni bima yaqulun." Allah, do not take me to task for the things that they say. "Waghfir li," and forgive me for the things that they don't know. Right? Because every person, I know myself better than you know me. You know yourself better than I know you. Right? So we all know ourselves better than the next person. And so when someone praises you, you really know what effect that praise has on you, and to what reality is that praise, how truthful is that praise. And so that's why this dua, "Oh Allah, do not take me to task." Someone says, "Oh mashallah, you're such a great whatever," and you know that you're not such. So Allah, don't take me to task for the things that they said. Rather, forgive me for the things that they don't know, because we all know that we're such sinners, that we sin so many times, and people will look at us adoringly, with respect, with adulation, with love and reverence, but we all know deep down how evil we are, and how weak our nafs is, and how many times in a day that we commit our own sins. The next hadith is similar. I never heard the Prophet ﷺ conjecture what a terrible means to an end for anyone. Right? What a terrible means to an end for anyone, and cursing a believer is like killing him or her. The next chapter is on rainbows. Okay, is on rainbows. So it says, Ibn Abbas said, the galaxy is one of the doors of the heavens, and the rainbow is a sign of security from drowning after the nation of Nuh alayhi salam. The next chapter is the galaxy. Abu Tufail reported that Ibn al-Kawwa, he says, asked Aliyan about the galaxy, and he said, it is the buttonhole of the sky, and through it passes the pouring rain. Okay, bima'in munhamir, that rain. And likewise, a rainbow is the security of Earth's inhabitants against drowning, and the galaxy is the door to the sky through which it broke out. Next chapter, do not curse fate. Okay, لا يقولن لأحدكم, that none of you should say that how evil is fate, is the time. Okay, and how difficult is the time, or how evil is it. You say, oh, this time is so evil, this like this. Don't curse the time. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الدَّهْرُ, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is dahr, meaning Allah is in control of the time. Whatever happens in the time, whatever happens in our lives, in this place, in this time, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created time and space. Okay. Likewise, the word karam, right, which is nobility, is meant for a believer, and a person should not call the grape a vine nobility or noble, for verily nobility is the believer. Next chapter is one should not stare at one's brother. You know, some people have this habit of staring. It's more of a phenomenon in certain countries, in certain cultures, than it is in others. Obviously, you know, in cultures that we live in, it's despised to look at someone, to stare at someone. You know, don't stare at somebody for too long. Don't look at someone. Don't stare if someone's eating, someone's walking, someone's here. Don't stare at them. This is actually a sunnah of Rasulullah, right? Mujahid says that he says a man staring at his brother is disliked, as his following him with his eyes when he turns away, and his asking him where he came from and when he walks in, or where he's going when he walks out. Right. So some people are just very inquisitive, very just with that gaze. It's not a good thing. Should not be done. Okay, I think we'll stop here, inshallah. It's just moments till Maghrib. So we'll continue, inshallah, next week. And inshallah, we'll try to finish up as much of this book as we can, inshallah. And we will see what happens in September, inshallah. All right, inshallah. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.